Ah, June. Sweet summer bliss. A time for surf, sand, leisure, and merriment. But it feels like something's missing, doesn't it? Oh, right. I forgot to set up my grill. Wait, E3? What are you doing here? I thought we killed you. Go away. Shoo! Yeah, maybe I should talk about that, huh? Well, it's not a pleasant story. Alright, you asked for it. So, my earliest memories with E3, or the Electronics Entertainment Expo, was in 2009. It's faint memories, over 10 years of time will do that, but I distinctly remember watching the debut of Mario Galaxy 2 and thinking, why isn't this DLC? Yeah, much less of the company Koopa than I am today, huh? That aside, I remember having a good time and watching the announcements, enjoying the broadcasted press conferences. Heck, on PlayStation Home, every E3, they had this in-world convention booth to show off their announced products and hang with friends to discuss it. It was all about the games, and it was good. Was it a bit commercially indulgent? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but we didn't care. At least not yet. As the years rolled on and gamers lived high, E3 became like a sagging Christmas, except, there were no gifts. Well, there was usually a sale or two, and the trailers themselves could sort of be considered gifts, but I digress. We saw announcements of new consoles, new franchises, and new games. We had it all. Then what went wrong? Well, Hollywood went wrong. You see, the convention took place in Los Angeles, which means a lot of the talent they got for their shows was hired locally. Actors, actresses, and directors. Ubisoft hired Aisha Tyler for their presentations, and while early on she had a very upbeat but very professional personality that added charm to their shows, it got old a bit quick. See, it was clear that she was only doing this for a paycheck. Not that she didn't try, but she did try too hard, and it came off as kind of fake. And that's how it was for many of the showcases. The show started to become a bit more dramatic. More spectacle and less actual content, and the smoke and mirrors did very little to cover up a lot of the industry's failings, like lying to your customers to install predatory microtransaction pay-to-win loot box systems in the most anticipated Star Wars title to come out since the end of LucasArts. Yay! Or lying to your customers about the most anticipated remake basically ever will come to all systems, and you only need to pay for the first part. Squeenix! Yeah, this industry's become pretty scummy, hasn't it? These presentations got so extreme that in 2018, the final year Sony participated, they actually had two musical performances that took like 10 minutes together, one of which was just to announce The Last of Us Part 2. And after that single announcement, they had to do a whole 30-minute intermission mid-press conference to move everyone out of the special venue they made for just one game. I mean, they even built it in the shape of a church. You'd think this would have been a big deal, but what did we get instead? Creepy underage mocap porn. During the intermission, all those who were watching at home, like me, had to watch these cringy hosts announce things that were already announced earlier in the month, that most viewers already knew about. And they also pushed their politics onto the audience. Yes, this was after Sony moved to San Francisco. How did you know? It was all basically downhill from there. In 2019, I remember E3 being so boring that, aside from Nintendo, I basically had to keep myself from falling asleep during every announcement. Like, who even cares about Life is Strange 2? In Fallout 76, the game's so bad the only thing to come out of it that was any good was the cover of Country Roads. And then in 2020, COVID happened. Because of the nature of Big Brother Wojcicki's stance on the topic and my, controversial takes on it, I'll just say that COVID caused the cancellation of E3 2020 in its entirety, leading to Jeff Keighley to take over and host his own event, which, well, it wasn't the best, but compared to what came next, I'd gladly take it again. Because in 2021, E3 returned as digital only. Don't mention the coof, don't mention the coof, don't mention the coof, don't mention the coof. She's watching! Did this improve the show at all? Surely without Hollywood special effects, you gotta show the games, right? I mean, what else is there to show? Surely you weren't just gonna have panels about diversity and representation and show drag queens as their presenters in a show that was no more than a social justice conference than a game conference, right? Right?
Innovation. It's happening all around us. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, but we know.
I always really appreciate queer narratives, trans narratives, gender diverse narratives. Tell Me Why by Don't Nod, with a trans character as one of the main characters, is huge.
Believe it or not, I'm watching E3.
if any main characters that are trans that are playable, being someone who identifies as non-binary, seeing someone that is proudly trans represented in the game is just so incredible to me.
Look at this! Look at this! They showed this to kids!
These narratives are important things and stories to tell, because games are just another way of telling stories.
Believe it or not, it's E3. This is too good to be true.
Why do I even ask? This was, without a doubt, the worst E3 to ever be shown to the public. Worse than Jamie Kennedy's drunken tantrum. Worse than the Wii Music drummer. Worse than the Xbox One reveal. This was the bottom of the proverbial barrel. This was so bad that me and my friends got together to put a stream together so I can rant about it for 2 hours. It's still on Tracer's channel if you want to go watch it, but if you think my mic's bad now, hoo boy. Barely any of it had anything to do with the games. No surprise, because most of everything was delayed. Hell, everything they actually announced was also delayed. Take-Two Interactive's entire conference was a panel on diversity and inclusion, featuring Saint Anita, the most oppressed person ever to speak before the United Nations. Other than that, the only game that drew attention, outside of Nintendo, who are always best in show at this point, was, I don't know, some game about killing chaos. Did they let loose Acadian in Final Fantasy? Capcom only showed 2 games that were already previously announced, and Bandai Namco only showed 1. A walking simulator. When the focus is not on the games at the games conference, that's when you know you screwed up. And E3 is not even the first games convention that's fallen to this. Penny Arcade Expo used to be a games convention too before it became a social justice conference. So was South by Southwest. This was just the latest to fall in a long campaign to subvert gaming to suit the narrative. No more problematics and sexisms. Isn't that right, Blizzard? Just a reminder, when those allegations were supposedly happening, Blizzard was huge into the pride parades. And if that's the case, it's best that E3 just stays dead. We have Summer Games Fest. It's not good, but it's a lot less horse doo-doo. And we don't even need a convention. Most game companies nowadays have taken a note out of Nintendo's book and have through-the-year live press conferences about upcoming releases like the Nintendo Direct. Most of them do it in early to mid-June anyway, so why do we even need the convention that'll just cost the companies taxes? So the High Priestess can call us violent misogynists? So pour one out for your homies. E3 is dead. And I say good riddance. Yeah, they said the same thing last year, just ignore it, it's dead. This has been the Koopa Man. Game on.